Greetings, fellow Dungeon Delvers, and welcome to Dorans and Dragons, where we work together to come up with Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition builds for your favorite League of Legends champions. Today we're building Maokai, the Twisted Treant. Maokai is a nature spirit who manifested himself as a treant on the Blessed Isles during their formation millennia ago. Drinking deeply from the Blessed Pool gave him the magical strength to spread life among all the islands. Flora and fauna both grew throughout the verdant land. Even when humans arrived, the land's abundance instilled a kindness in them that made them respect the sanctity of the land. Unfortunately, such paradise can never last. Viego, the Ruined King, came to the Blessed Isles and forever corrupted them in a mad attempt to restore his wife back to life. He desecrated the Blessed Pool, and from it came the harrowing mist that spread endlessly among the islands, turning them into the Shadow Isles. Maokai raced to absorb as much of the Blessed Pool as he could, and it protected him from the mists, which were turning his fellow spirits and the inhabitants of the island into mindless undead. Though he was twisted and malformed physically by the mists, his mind was clear and able. He wanted to flee the island, but he knew where his duty was. Now Maokai fights an endless fight against the mist and its soulless wraiths, attempting to bring life back to the once beautiful islands he calls home. Before we get started with the build, go ahead and like the video and hit that subscribe button so you're always notified when we release our builds. We'd like to take a minute and thank our awesome patrons over on Patreon who support us every month. Thanks for helping us keep the lights on and my little saplings running around the house happily. If you like our videos and want to support the channel, come join us over on Patreon today for just $1 to get access to our awesome Discord community where we talk League and D&D all day long. Alright, now let's get into it. Here's a quick preview of the build. For race, we're going with Firbolg. Per usual, our stats are going to be determined using the standard array. For our stat priorities, we're going to max Constitution and dump Intelligence. We do have some multi-class requirements with at least a 13 in Wisdom, Strength, and Charisma. Our leveling path is going to be levels 1 through 3 in Druid, then 5 levels of Barbarian. We'll jump over to Paladin for another 3 levels, and then we'll finish out the rest of our levels in Barbarian. Maokai's passive, Sap Magic, will be our Lay on Hands. Our Q, Bramble Smash, is going to come from Thunderwave. His W, Twisted Advance, will be recreated through Ensnaring Strike. Our E, Sapling Toss, will come from one of our Wild Magic Surges. And finally, we get our ultimate, Nature's Grasp, from Entangle. For race, we're going with Firbolg, like we did for Ivern. Firbolgs gain a +2 to Wisdom and a +1 to Strength. Firbolg Magic will allow you to cast Detect Magic or Disguise Self once per rest. We'll also gain the Hidden Step feature, allowing us to turn invisible as a bonus action, until the start of your next turn, or if you basically do anything other than moving, which also recharges after a rest. Firbolg have a powerful build as well, counting them as one size larger when you're calculating carry capacity or weight you can move around. And finally, Speech of Beast and Leaf is going to allow us some minor communication with nature via beasts and plants. This is going to allow them to understand you and give you advantage on all charisma checks towards them. For background, we're going with Far Traveler, because if Maokai's in your campaign and you're not in the Shadow Isles, he has traveled some distance. Far Travelers gain proficiency in Insight and Perception and the All Eyes on You feature. Basically, because of your uniqueness, people are intrigued and are more likely to give you favor and want to hear your stories. For stats, we're going to try and help balance out Maokai's other arm with the standard array. Roll if you want to, just make sure you keep at least a 13 in Wisdom, Strength, and Charisma for multi-classing purposes. Tankiness is a main priority of the build, so we're going to open with a 15 in Constitution. Maokai's long-term history and experience of the world means we're going to take a 14 in our Wisdom. After that, we'll take Charisma for multi-classing purposes. Strength is up next, so we can smash our enemies with our gangly arm. We'll go with average dexterity and dump our intelligence. For equipment, we're going to use a club and flavor it as your gigantic left arm. Clubs are going to deal 1d6 bludgeoning damage, but we'll bump that up by 2 later on in the build. Alrighty, we're going to kick off the build with some levels in Druid. Druids have a d8 hit die and give us proficiency with light armor, medium armor, shields, clubs, daggers, darts, javelins, maces, quarterstaffs, scimitars, sickles, slings, and spears. I mean, honestly, wizards, do we need it to be that complicated? We're also going to pick up skill proficiency in Nature and Arcana. Becoming a druid will teach us the druidic language, which only other druids will be able to understand. Our final first level feature is going to be spell casting. We're going to learn 2 important level 1 spells that'll give us our Q and R. Entangle is going to give us our ultimate, allowing us to create a 20-foot square of weeds and vines that make the area difficult terrain until the spell fades. Additionally, when the spell is cast, any creatures in the square have to make a strength save or be restrained by plants until the spell ends. Thunderwave is going to give us our Q. You're going to slam the ground and let out a wave of thunderous force, making each creature in a 15-foot cube around you make a con save or take 2d8 thunder damage and get knocked back 10 feet. Second level druids gain their wild shape ability and choose their druidic circle. Wild shape isn't going to play a role in this build, so we're going to skip over it. For our druidic circle, we're going with Circle of the Land, specifically the forest, for obvious reasons. This is going to give us the natural recovery feature and circle spells starting next level. Natural recovery is going to allow us to recover half of our druid level in spell slots when we finish a short rest. You can only do this once per long rest though, so use it wisely. Level 3 druids gain access to second level spells. The only spell we're going to cover here is one we gain from our circle spells, Bark Skin. This is going to give us our Treant form. It's a very straightforward spell, giving us bark-like armored skin with a 16 AC, as long as we maintain concentration. Alrighty, now we're going to get our Angry Treant with some levels in Barbarian. Barbarians have a D12 hit die, which is going to help out a ton in the tankiness department. We're going to pick up full weapon proficiency, and the Rage and Unarmored Defense features. Rage allows us to enter a Primal Fury as a bonus action, giving us advantage on strength checks and saves, bonus damage to our strength melee attacks, and resistance to bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing damage. We can't concentrate on spells or cast them though, so keep your Bark Skin in mind. Unarmored Defense is going to give us some AC to work with when not in Bark Skin, by making it 10 plus our Dex and Con modifiers. Second level Barbarians gain the Reckless Attack and Danger Sense features. Reckless Attack is going to let us give ourselves advantage on our strength attacks at the cost of giving attacks made against this advantage as well. Danger Sense is going to give us advantage on Dex saves against any effect that we can see coming in any sort of way. Level 3 Barbarians choose their Primal Path, which guides their rages and fighting style. We're going to tap into the wellspring of magical energy from the Blessed Pool with Path of Wild Magic, which is going to give us the Magic Awareness and Wild Surge features. Magic Awareness is going to allow us to open up our awareness of magic as an action, and allow you to locate any spell or magic item within 60 feet, as long as it isn't behind total cover. It'll even give you an idea of what school of magic the source of your detection belongs to. You have a number of charges of this feature based on your proficiency bonus, and they all recharge on a long rest. Wild Surge is going to feel very familiar to any of the wild magic sorcerers out there, as it gives us a d8 table of options that we roll on every time we enter a rage. The main option we're hoping for is 3, which will give us our E. When we enter our rage, we can toss out a spirit next to a creature within 30 feet of us. At the end of our turn, the spirit explodes, dealing 1d6 force damage if any creatures within 5 feet fail a dex save. Until the rage ends, we can do that each turn again and again as a bonus action. Don't worry about the potential randomness, we'll get a few options later on that'll make sure this is a sure bet. 4th level Barbarians gain the first ability score improvement of the build. As always, we're going to break down all of your choices, so you can pick out what you'd like as you reach these milestones. At Barbarian 4, we're going to bump our health pool by 2 per level by taking the Tough feat. Remember, this is 40 points of health by level 20, and we'll add some very welcome tankiness to our Grumpy Treant. At Barbarian 8, we'll round off our Constitution and Charisma score so we can bump our modifier by 1 point each. And finally, at Barbarian 12, we'll bump our Constitution mod with 2 more points in that as well, bringing our final average hit point count to 254 at max level. Level 5 Barbarians gain extra attack, allowing us to make 2 swings as an attack action instead of just 1. We'll also gain the fast movement feature, bumping our movement speed by 10 as long as we don't throw on any heavy armor. Alrighty, now that we've got our nature and our anger, we need to vow to protect and restore the Blessed Isles with some levels in Paladin. Paladins have a d10 hit die and give us no new proficiencies. We will gain the Divine Sense feature, allowing us to use an action to extend our senses to detect any celestials, fiends, or undead within 60 feet that aren't behind total cover. You'll know what they are and where they are, but not who they are. Lay on Hands is going to be our final level 1 Paladin feature, which will give us our passive. It's a pool of hit points equal to 5 times our Paladin level that we can use to heal ourselves and others with a touch as an action. Second level Paladins learn a fighting style and gain Smite slots for Divine Smite, which they also unlock at this level. We're going with Dueling to give our club 2 extra points of guaranteed damage. Divine Smite is going to allow us to spend a spell slot anytime we land an attack to deal 2d8 radiant damage, plus 1d8 for each spell slot above first level. Level 3 Paladins gain Divine Health and choose their Sacred Oath. Divine Health is going to make us immune to disease. Like I said at the beginning, our oath is all about restoring and protecting the Blessed Isles, so we'll be rolling with Oath of the Ancients. This is going to give us an important oath spell and the Nature's Wrath Channel Divinity, which can both be used as our W. Ensnaring Strike is the Oath spell, allowing us to force a strength save on a creature if we land a weapon attack on it, causing vines to surge up and restrain them. At the start of each of their turns, the restrained creature takes 1d6 piercing damage, but they can repeat the strength check as an action on their turn. Nature's Wrath is very similar, except you can target any creature within 10 feet, and it doesn't have the piercing damage component. Also, you can only use it once per long rest. And we're back over to Barbarian for the rest of the build. 6th level Wild Magic Barbarians learn the Bolstering Magic ability. As an action, you can assist yourself or an ally, choosing between 2 options. You can add a d3 to any attack roll or ability check for 10 minutes, or you can roll a d3 to regain a single spell slot of that level or lower. You have a number of charges of this feature based on your proficiency bonus, and they all recharge on a long rest. Level 7 Barbarians gain Feral Instinct, giving you advantage on initiative rolls, and allowing you to disregard surprise as long as you enter a rage as the first action on that turn. Level 9 Barbarians unlock Brutal Critical, allowing you to roll an additional damage die when you land a critical melee attack. 10th level Wild Magic Barbs gain the Unstable Backlash feature, allowing us to re-roll on our Wild Magic table as a reaction, anytime we fail a save or take damage. You have the choice to use this or not, so if you don't land the number 3 option, you can use this to keep rolling until you get it. Level 11 Barbarians learn Relentless Rage, allowing you to make a DC 10 con save when you hit 0 hit points if you're raging. If you make the save, you instead fall to 1 hit point and the DC bumps up by 5. Finishing a rest resets this feature's DC back to 10. Level 13 Barbarians improve their Brutal Critical feature, allowing them to roll 2 additional damage die when they land a critical strike instead of just 1. Your Strong Arm is going to just crush people back into the earth, which is nice because you can use them as mulch. And finally, 14th level Wild Magic Barbarians gain the Controlled Surge feature, allowing us to roll 2 die every time we roll in the Wild Magic Surge table and choose which of the features you'd like. If you happen to roll the same number on both die, you get to choose whichever you'd like. Alright, now that we've completed the build, let's see how we did. First, the good. We are a furious nature boy who will absolutely wreck anyone who messes with our forest. We have a ton of tankiness and features that'll keep people focused on us, while our friends do the dirty work behind us. Wild Magic is also going to keep things interesting and keep our gameplay fresh every combat. Now the bad. We're technically not a Treant, but this is pretty solid for not having that as a choosable race. Also, we don't have very much in the range department. We're going to have to rely on our party members to take out that archer up on the walls. So what'd you think? I've included a link to this build via D&D Beyond in the description below, as well as Amazon links to the books used in the build. If you enjoy this type of content, please consider supporting us on Patreon. We have a few awesome rewards, and you get access to our great Discord community. We plan on churning out one League Champion build every week. Thanks for watching, and hopefully we'll catch you on the Rift, or in the Forgotten Realms.